I came to this country with one suitcase, no family, no language, and only $200 in my pocket. But I became something. How much better should you become? You who are born here, you who speak the language, you who have a family, and you who have every opportunity. You should become better than me. Mr. Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, judges, and guests, these are the proud words of my father. He's managed to drill them into my head from the time I was a small boy. But like any immigrant who comes to a new country under similar circumstances, Dad only ever wanted one thing, and that was to ensure that we, his children, have it better than him and become more successful than him. Now, some people incorrectly believe that they can ensure their children's success by spoiling them and throwing money at them. But not Dad. On the contrary. See, Dad grew up in poverty, and the last thing he was going to do was throw money at us. Instead, Dad was going to try to ensure our success by teaching us the value of $1 and teaching us not to seek after superficial things. But I got to be honest with you. Growing up, I had a real problem with some of Dad's teachings. Oftentimes, applying them caused me a lot of embarrassment and caused me to become an outcast amongst my peers. Let me take you through a couple of examples of my experiences applying some of Dad's teachings. Some of my earliest memories of Dad's thriftiness occurred at the soccer field. In one particular case, when I was only 4 years old, we had just finished the game, and the ice cream truck showed up. All the spoiled kids ran after the truck. Now, I should have known better, because even at the tender age of 4, I knew that the ice cream truck sold expensive ice cream, but being caught up in the moment, I too began to slowly approach the back of the line when out of the corner of my eye, I caught Dad's gaze. I immediately removed myself from the line and began to bawl my eyes out. A couple minutes later, one of the parents who had just purchased ice cream for her child came up to me and said, "Oh, Ted, did you eat your ice cream already?" With tears flowing down my face. And before Dad could jump in, I immediately said, "Why would I buy ice cream from that guy? He's a ripoff. I could just go to the supermarket with Dad and buy a whole tub for half the price." She looked at me like a deer in headlights. She'd never heard such wisdom coming out of the mouth of a 4-year-old child. Dad looked at me, and then he looked at her. And with great pride, he shouted, "That's my boy!" Now, while experiences like this have been great for a laugh with the guys, what they haven't been good for is my success with the ladies. Several years ago, when I first got my driver's license, I was taking out a girl to dinner for the very first time in my life. But not just any girl. The most beautiful girl I had ever seen in my life. She had long brown hair, piercing green eyes, full lips, and Joanne. I made Joanne walk for 20 minutes in 3-inch heels in freezing cold temperatures just so I could save $10 in parking. When we got to the restaurant, I ordered 2 waters. The waitress came back with 2 bottles of water. Before Joanne could snap open the lid off hers, I snatched it out of her hands, threw it back at the waitress, and said, "Tap water, please." Needless to say, the rest of the date was very quiet. But it was an even more quiet drive home. When I dropped her off, she didn't look at me, she didn't say anything, and she slammed the door. That was the last time Joanne ever spoke to me. On my way home, I realized something. She was mad at me, but not because I wasn't a decent guy, because I was a cheap guy. And this was all Dad's fault. The next day, I stormed down the stairs for breakfast. And before Dad could ask me how my day was, I said, "Dad, you ruined this relationship. I made this poor girl walk for 20 minutes in 3-inch heels, in minus 20 degrees Celsius weather. I made this poor girl drink tap water, and before I could finish, Dad interrupted. "That's my boy!" "I'm not your boy, Dad. I'm not your boy. I will never find a girl like this." And I headed for the door. Before I made it to the door, Dad called me back. "Ted, did this girl have makeup and lipstick and those nails? Yes, Dad. We don't want these girls. These girls are trouble. If you marry this girl, you will be paying for these things. But most importantly, it's what's on the inside that counts. Just look at your mother. I learned a lot from these experiences. I now realize that our parents, my parents, your parents, were born and raised in a different time than us. A time that had its own unique set of opportunities, but also its own unique set of challenges. I've given you a couple examples here, and I hope that you guys have had, I'm sure that many of you guys have had similar experiences with your parents. But I know that, and I hope that now that you guys are all adults, that you realize that your parents had your best interests at heart. Sometimes I wonder, what if Dad didn't immigrate with a simple suitcase? What if he came with great wealth? Would I have ever learned the value of a dollar? Would I have ever learned what it means to sacrifice? Would I have ever learned that there's more to a woman than her beautiful nails? When I think about it honestly, the answer is always a resounding no. Fellow Toastmasters, Dad's not here right now. But I know if he was, he'd be standing back there, looking on with great pride and approval, and shouting, "That's my boy, Mr. Contest Chair."